Alright, so here is the Superlux HD681 32 ohm headphone. This is semi-open back, which means that you can't see the driver or anything, but it has these vents right here to actually, let out some of the sound. Now, what makes that different from most fully open back headphones is the fact that it actually does a better job in a lot of ways with the bass than most headphones. Now, before we get to the sound signature, I want to talk to you guys about the build because the build is interesting here. The build is made of some of the cheapest plastic that I've ever felt. It is a very flimsy construction, very reminiscent of the AKG headphones, just cheaper, specifically the AKG K240. And, they even use the same band type tech going on here, as you can see. And I have right here the K612 Pros, and as you can see, they use the very same similar band type technology. What makes these different is the fact that this right here is actually in the shape of a human head, as opposed to this where it just flattens out, which makes these more comfortable than these. Well, what's the big deal about that? Well, the fact that these were $25, these were $130. So, let's set those aside for now and just talk about these. Out of the box, these things are pretty bad. And what I mean is that you put them on your head and your ears start to hurt after about 10 minutes. The reason being is because these are the stock pads right here. Well, this is one of them. This donut right here is awful. It's not a good pad. It just hurts your ears. There's no cushion to it. It's air. It's air, and it's awful. It's awful. Don't use the stock pads for it. These right here are replacement pads. These are actually replacement pads for AKG headphones. They're velour. They look pretty cheap and everything, but they were $5, and for a headphone that's $25, that still puts it at a cheaper price than most anything. Now, these pads make it 100% more comfortable, make things a little bit more open, and that is kind of what makes these fantastic. These have the best soundstage that I have heard in anything under $30 so far. That is a big deal, because every time you look at anything under $30, you either get some okay-ish open backs, or you usually just the cheapo closed backs. And if you know anything about closed back headphones, you know that they don't really produce any soundstage. At least most of them don't, especially at the cheap price points. These give you a super wide soundstage because they take advantage of the fact that they're semi-open. But what makes them better than most headphones is the fact that they also produce bass really well. Really, really well. Like, I put these on and, you hear the open backness of everything. You hear the wide soundstage. But then the bass kicks in and it has some punch to it. And if I had to describe the sound signature, it's definitely a V. It's definitely a V shape. Because the main downside of these is the fact that the mids are very recessed. There's certain songs where they're very mid-focused and everything's so quiet, like just farther behind. Meanwhile, everything else around it is louder. In the SHP 9500, I talked about how the song Reflector by Arcade Fire, the vocals felt recessed. This is doing the same thing. But what bothers me about these is the fact that since they're a V, the way that the V works is that you have the bass going here, and then it goes down, and then it just shoots up for the treble. And the treble in these is murder. Murder. With the stock pads, your ears are going to bleed. They're going to bleed. And I say with the stock pads because there is literally just one little layer of actual padding here in between the driver and it that doesn't really trap anything. Now, these pads right here come with their own layer of foam that you can also double up with the layer that came with these. So that gives you 2 layers of foam, and that really controls the treble a lot. Like, it brings it down a lot, which is great. Because once you tame a little bit of the treble, you still get some of the sibilance, but it's not the way that it was before because I'm very treble sensitive, but I like these. So that says a lot because most trebly headphones kill me. These right here, the Mark IIIs, are almost perfect for the fact that, except for the fact that they just have a little bit too much treble. Just a little bit too much, and they go from being perfect to just almost there. Just almost there. And that pretty much tells you how much treble bothers me. These right here, even though they have a huge spike in the treble that can get very sibilant, I still enjoy them. Now, you will listen to music, and music that's very mid-focused, and, because that's where the vocal's at. You're going to realize that there's going to be a little bit extra treble into what people say, and it'll bring out some of the sibilantness. Now, there are songs that are just naturally susceptible to sibilance. Those you will not be able to listen to on these, because there's no taming the sibilance on these without just doing a crazy amount of work on the pads themselves, and I don't think anybody's really going to be willing to do that. Now, for $25, why do I recommend these? Because I do recommend these for gaming. For gaming, these are amazing, just absolutely amazing. Why? Well, the soundstage is super wide, super wide, just crazy wide. Now, the imaging isn't 100% accurate because they are only $25, but you get more awareness than using anything closed back besides something like these right here, the 770 Pros. But you get that wideness, you get a little bit more awareness than anybody else will, and because of that, these are the best gaming headphones, because any other gaming headphone, you're going to be paying over $30, probably going to be closed back because that's what most companies do. And don't buy gaming headsets, guys. Just buy actual headphones. Even any actual headphone that you buy at this price range is probably going to be closed back and not going to be great for gaming. For $25, you get a super wide soundstage, very comfortable build. I mean, get the pads with them. That will bump up the price to like $30. At most, you're going to be paying $35. And once you do that, you have the best gaming headset that you could possibly get under $30 or under $40. Let's say under $40. Because what else can you get? You could get the Porta Pros. Those will, out of the box, be great, but they aren't full-sized. They aren't, in my opinion, as comfortable. And you're essentially getting a relatively cheaper build quality. These are still pretty cheap, but I trust these more than Porta Pros. I mean, I don't expect these to die anytime soon. Porta Pros, once a year, they're going to die. So what does that mean? Well, okay. These best gaming headsets. For music, okay. If you plan on using these for music, and I don't necessarily recommend that because the sibilance can become a problem, even though I do use these for music occasionally. Like, I enjoyed listening to music on them, but the sibilance there, it was a worry. You didn't know whether the next track would murder your ears. So, what do I use these with? Well, with the FIO E10K, I have the bass boost on. Well, why? Because the bass on these, like, it can handle the bass boost. There's a lot of open back headphones and semi-open back headphones that I found don't really bass boost too well. The SHPs didn't bass boost well at all. You turned on the bass boost, nothing happened. It didn't do anything because it couldn't. These bass boost very well. Now, what that does is it brings the V that's a little slanted, a little evened out. The mids are still going to be gone, but now you get the bass and the treble to be good. So what you're able to do is actually turn down the volume a little bit so that the sibilance doesn't kill you, and you still get that punchy bass to it. That is the only way that I can possibly listen to music on these. But for gaming, you don't really care about the treble. It's not going to murder your ears. Yeah, gunshots will be a little louder, but they happen for like a split second, you know? And besides that, the bass will be fine so that when you hear explosions, you still get that punchiness to it. And well, mids, they're going to be there, just recessed, and that's not really going to bother you for gaming. So for gaming, these are the best gaming headsets you could get. Now, I haven't tried the bigger brothers of these 668Bs, I think. the ones that have the wing design, but personally, if it's anything like Audio-Technica's wing design, I would rather go with this. I prefer this to the wing design. So yeah, I mean, there's others of these that have different lettering. These are just the stock 681s, and there's others that can be, you know, a little flatter, a little bit more balanced, as they say, or whatever it is that they the different letters do. I don't personally think they're gonna do much at this price point. May pick up like a pair of them just to see if it actually levels things out a bit. But for now, I can honestly recommend these for gaming, 100%. If you're looking for a gaming headphone, get these.